I don't know if you guys heard about whooping cough. So that's a bacterial infection. When kids get whooping cough, it's going to destroy the cilia. And even after they get better, they, still might be, have a voice that not, that's not normal, or they might still be coughing, and that's because of the cilia. It needs to grow back. So we said that cells stick together, and because they need to communicate with each other. So they're going to stick together. In this photo, there's one cell, there's another cell here. And then here, there is something that's called plasmodesma. They're sticking together. So in plasmodesma, in this space, there's maybe water movement. So there are some spaces in between. This is called plasmodesma. So let me see. So few names for cell membranes. It's called cell membrane. It can be called plasma membrane, or old term is plasma lemma. Plasma lemma. So I just remembered this because of plasmodesma. So desmosomes. So desmosomes, they stick cells together. And here, because there's some space, it's called plasmodesma. Cells are sticking together, but there's some space there. So just as organelles in a cell, these cells work together, they need to communicate, they divide the labor, and it's happening through this plasmodesma. So these cells are sticking together, but there's still some space that allows the water to move, and that's called plasmodesmata. So they communicate through plasmodesmata. Nutrients, water, biochemicals, they can travel through these channels to adjacent cells. So that's how the signals move one cell to the next cell. So we're gonna talk about different kinds of plasmodesmata. So we have three kinds in humans. These are found in humans as well. Gap junctions, tight junctions, and anchoring junctions. So gap junctions, those are these ones. You're gonna see a gap there. There is a space there. Anybody knows where it can be found in humans? Gap junctions. So gap junction is basically, there's a space in between. It's sending signal one cell to the next cell. It can be found in our heart. So we have the pacemaker. When it sends the signal, it's gonna travel from one cell to the next cell, to the next cell, to the next cell through these gap junctions. So these are the gap junctions that can be found in a heart cell. And then there are tight junctions. If you're taking physiology, they will not be calling it gap junctions. They're going to call it intercellular disc, but that's their terminology, but there are gap junctions. If tight junctions, they're more like a staple. So you staple something together. That's what they look like. So these are tight junctions. Have you guys heard about aneurysm? Aneurysm? Yes. Excel or Nell, do you guys want to tell me what aneurysm is? Somebody wants to explain what an aneurysm is? So the most famous one we know is the one in the brain. So it says it's clot or infiltration. Yes. So what happens is that basically tight junctions are holding the blood vessels together. And if the blood vessel, if these tight junctions are weak, the blood vessel is going to fall apart. Once that happens, it's going to start bleeding because there's maybe high pressure there. So it's going to start bleeding, and that's internal bleeding is called an aneurysm. And again, most famous one you guys probably know is the one in brain. So it can pop, or Neil said. There's another one that's called AAA, this aortic abdominal aneurysm. If that happens, you die on the spot. It's pretty bad. Yeah, that's a scary one. And then anchoring junctions, that's basically holding the cells together. It's very strong one, but it's holding the cells together. So you can see them here, here, here. Each of the cell, most of the time, have all of them. So gap junctions, we said it's found in heart. Other cells might not have that, but most of the time, all of the cells have that. And then this is an example of intestine. You can see, I can tell that because of the surface area here. So you see a lot of folding here. You need a lot of surface area in your intestine. Or it also says here cell of small intestine. So this is intestine. When you see larger surface area, that's your intestine, because you need more surface area for that. And then we were talking about cells are small because it gives them higher surface area compared to the volume. And that's another example of that is your lungs. So your gas exchange or your kidneys, filtration, they have higher surface area.
Is there something that causes that?
What is it?
Is there something that causes those junctions to loosen? Like you said, if it loosens, you can have an aneurysm. Is there something that causes that, or it's just genetics?
Sometimes it's both actually. Sometimes environmental or genetics can be either or. For example, even if you start getting clots, it might be because of what you're eating. So it can be different things. Stress, or Nell said stress. Gap junctions are connecting animal cells that are analogous. If you don't know the word, don't worry about it. Just maybe think of it as the next cell, plasmidesmata. A protein channel links the cytoplasm to neighboring cells. So it's just connecting one cell to the next cell. Tight junctions fuse the membranes of adjacent animal cells together, so like a staple here, and prevents substances from flowing between the cells. So that's another function I forgot to mention. It's not, it's gonna, kind of be picky what can flow through, what can't flow through. So if it's big in size, it's not gonna flow through to prevent substance from entering and leaving. Anchoring junctions use intermediate filaments to hold cells together. So these are strong ones, they hold cells together. So those are three kinds. So we talked about how cells, they have different function. I want you to know that not all cells are equal. Each cell have different kind of function. Here, this is the heart muscle. You can see there's a nucleus there, and there's this branching going on. Looks different than maybe your skeletal muscle. So all the cells are different. They're not equal. Here, this is the neuron brain cell that looks different. And then in this photo is showing the leaf cell plants, and you can see chloroplast, whereas compared to this is the root cell. Sunlight cannot reach under the roots, therefore there is no chloroplast. So the structure might differ a little bit depending on the function of the cell. So each multicellular individual, we can use us as an example, have a variety of cell types. We have neurons, we have cardiac muscle, we have skeletal muscle, we have smooth muscle. So not all cells are equal. And I said that eukaryotic cells, they all have a nucleus. Do you guys know if your red blood cells have a nucleus? Jay said yes. So there's, let me see, slide, microscope. So we do have this slide in lab, and we would have looked at it. You can see there is this empty space in the middle. There is no nucleus. So all eukaryotic cells have nucleus, but red blood cells, they don't have a nucleus. They emerge from the stem cells in your bone marrow. They don't have a nucleus, and they have this biconcave shape. So they're not completely round. They have this biconcave shape that helps them exchange the oxygen better, or diffusion. It makes the diffusion better. So there is no nucleus for red blood cells. So this is just saying that muscle cells look and behave differently compared to neurons. Leaf cells have chloroplast. Root cells don't have chloroplast because it's not needed there. Sunlight cannot reach the roots. Whereas the leaves, they are out in the sunlight, so they have chloroplast to make food from sunlight. So communication is important, and we talked about gap junctions and tight junctions, and something that holds them in place is anchoring junctions. So all those are basically helping with the labor for the cells. So, and allows them to efficiently do the work, basically. That's end of this lecture. So if there are any questions, I'll take those now.